Hello, welcome back to RetroBreak, and welcome to my game room tour for 2019. So this is what most of you guys see when you watch my videos. These are the two shelves at the back of the game room. I'll start with this one over here. At the top I've got a few of the rarer games in my collection, or just some of my favourites. So a really exciting game for me. I actually met the creator of Chrono Trigger, one of the designers. I'll put his name down there. I can't remember what it is at the minute, but he did actually sign it for me. That was back when MCM was in Telford many years ago, so I'm really happy about that, and it is in pristine condition as well. Another game that I'm really happy to have is Lufia 2. This is probably the most expensive game that I've got in my whole collection, and it's definitely one that I really value. It's a fantastic game. I really need to go back and finish it at some point. And as well up here we have my favourite game of all time, Illusion of Time for the SNES. I'm sure you've heard me talk about it many times before on the channel, but if you haven't, I am planning to do a full episode on this game and this series at some point in the future, so subscribe for that. I'm not going to make any promises, but it is going to happen one day. And also up here I have another one of my favourite games. This one is Panicking for the PS2, and I've shown this off before as well, but inside here you can see all these different notes from when I played the game on how to find all the different items and stuff. I absolutely loved this game, so that's why it's at the top of my collection, right up there. And up here as well, to go with Panicking, this is the premium box that actually came with a figure. This one was very hard to find. I managed to find it eventually on eBay for a fair price. It didn't come with the game, but the whole reason I wanted it was to get this figure here, which is currently sat down there on the shelf, which I'll get to in a minute. This is another thing that's really special to me. This is the Clannad Collector's Edition that was on Kickstarter. It came with this really nice art book and the game, a soundtrack and all sorts of different things. It's my favourite anime and my favourite PC game of all time. I actually maxed out all of the different save slots on this game. It's just insane how much I was into it back then. And I really can't wait for it to come out on the Switch. It's already out on the eShop, but Limited Run are going to actually be releasing a physical version. I think in the same collector's style box as this one, so I can't wait to get that. And that will sit up there next to this one. So here's just a few other bits that I missed out at the top of the shelf. Here's my really nice Nights into Dreams figure by First for Figures. It does light up, but it's run out of batteries at the minute. Also, there's the box for the Retro Freak, and there's also this really cool Nights Dream Pack, which was the Japanese PS2 version of Nights into Dreams, and it comes with this really cool storybook as well, as you can see. I actually used this while I was learning to read Japanese, so that's a really nice thing to have. And there's also the box there for my favourite controller ever, the SN Pro Pad, and there's the case for my Atari Lynx. So of course the main thing on this shelf is the Virtual Boy. Unfortunately the stand's broken, so it's just the headset. I did buy this 3D printed adapter that lets you plug it into a normal tripod, but unfortunately, I don't know if you can see there at the bottom, yeah, you can see it's got kind of worn away over time, so for the minute I can't really use the Virtual Boy very well. I have to sort of balance it on a table or something, but I absolutely love the system, and it's another thing that I'm planning on doing an in-depth video on in the future, so subscribe once again for that one, whenever that happens. What else do we have? We have the Master Sword from the Breath of the Wild Collector's Edition for when the Switch came out, and a few anime figures. This one here I think I won in a claw machine in Japan, so I was very excited about that. I used to have a lot more anime figures, but most of them are all in boxes or still at my parents' house. And I also have this really cool Gumi one as well, one of my favourite Vocaloids. So very happy to have that. And behind there I also have some of the rarer Wii games, the Steelbooks for them. So I've got The Last Story and Pandora's Tower, and they also both came with the art books, which are here as well. I'll do some close-ups on these. Both fantastic games, as well as Xenoblade Chronicles, of course. They rounded out the RPG trilogy at the end of the Wii's life, so I'm very happy to have all three of them. Of course I got them all on day one. Collector's edition versions of all three of them. Fantastic games, but unfortunately Club Nintendo messed up and I didn't get the special coins that I was promised for actually buying all of them at launch, so kind of bummed out about that, but what can you do? I'm still very happy to have the Steelbooks to display on the shelf. And then at the back there as well I also have all of the Pokemon Steelbooks for the 3DS. This one here, this is my Wii U and Switch games. and some more figures. This one's lost her base, as you can see. That's Kurisu from Steins Gate. There's Nagisa from Clannad, my favourite character from that series. Very, very happy to have this figure. It was a very expensive one. And there, next to it, is the Panicking figure as well. So if I try and get a close-up for you. And as you can see back there, loads of Switch and Wii U games. So I didn't really plan how I was going to do this room tour in advance, so I've had to move a few things out of the way, but also on this shelf we've got all of the different mini systems. So there's the SNES, there's the PlayStation Mini, and underneath these DS games here, there's the Ness Mini as well. So I really like these, and I'm definitely getting the Mega Drive and the TurboGrafx ones that are coming out later this year. Also on here, for some reason, that should probably be in the cabinet over there, here's my Wonderswan. It's not the crystal version, unfortunately, this is just the Wonderswan colour, but I was really excited to get this because I got it when I was in Japan for a crazy cheap price of 300 yen, which is about a fiver, if that, so I was really, really excited to get that. And while we're on this shelf, just a few quick special editions that I want to show. There's the Xenoblade Chronicles X Steelbook, one of my favourite games, if not my favourite game on the Wii U. Really nice collector's edition there. And the other one is Mario 3D World, and I just wanted to show this one off because Mario has a fluffy belly and I always thought that was really cute. So there we go, two of my favourite Wii U games. And at the end of this shelf, just to finish off this bit, I've also got some big box PlayStation Vita games. I have Akiba's Beat, and I have both the Steins Gate games. Steins Gate being one of my favourite series of all time, so really happy to have both of these. I've completed Steins Gate the original, but I haven't finished Steins Gate 0 yet, so I'm definitely looking to play more of that one soon. Right, now I really didn't plan this very well, but I'm going to take you down to the next shelf somehow. Here's some games that I haven't even played yet. So this is Zelda Wand of Gamelon for the CDI, Tetris for the CDI. I'm waiting to get a proper controller before I play them, and Spot Goes to Hollywood, which I haven't even opened yet. I got that one at Play Expo, I think. So these three games are on my to play pile, and they were just kind of sat there. Also here, for some reason, I have Phantasy Star 4, which is one of my favourite games on the Mega Drive, and at the time this was the first game ever that I spent almost £100 on, so kind of pricey, but really happy to have this one for the collection. There we go, now I can go into a little bit more detail. So I've got all my PAL Sega Saturn games here, and stacked up next to them are my Vectrex games. I actually just did a video on the Vectrex, so if you want to go and see all of my Vectrex collection and some of my thoughts on the system and some gameplay, I'll put a link in the description to go and watch that episode. I had a lot of fun filming that one, so I really hope you enjoy it. And there's some more Vectrex games there. If I move these out of the way, here's all my Sega Saturn games. There's a few hidden around the side, if I can pull these out without destroying everything. So the ones around the side. Christmas Nights, the game that I always mean to do a Let's Play of at Christmas and always forget. So maybe this year it'll be different. And Manx TT Superbike and Sega Touring Car Championship. And I know why these two were out. That was for my Tetsuya Mizuguchi episode, which is one that I made right at the start of the year. So I'll put a link in the description to that one as well. So there's all my Saturn games. I did actually do a Sega Saturn collection video a while ago, so I'll put a link in the description to that one. And next to these, this box here has all my DS and 3DS games in. As you can see, I've put them all nicely in these little boxes that slide into these. I have loads of DS games, and you'll be able to see the boxes for all these in a minute when we take a look at the top. But yeah, all the different DS and 3DS games are all in these little boxes, which just makes storing them a lot easier. And if we move this way a little bit, here I've got a few more Vectrex games. These ones are the boxed ones, and there's an overlay there as well. Like I said, have a look in my Vectrex video for a full overview. And these are all my PSP games. I didn't really have anywhere left to store them, so they've sort of been stacked up here on the side. Brilliant little handheld. I really enjoy the PSP, and it's a system that I've never made a video on, so maybe in the future that can be one to add to my list. And my favourite game for the PSP, by the way, is probably Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep. That's the reason I got the system when it came out, but I'll save that for the actual PSP episode. and you can take a closer look at that collection when the episode comes out as well. Now, there's 2 more shelves down there, so again, I'll adjust the tripod and we can take a look at them. This shelf here has Dreamcast and Gamecube games. They used to be up there, but I've actually moved them to make room for some more Japanese games. So this is actually 2 rows deep. Behind there, there's some more Gamecube games, and behind that one, some more Gamecube games. And a cheat disc as well. And the same with the Dreamcast stuff. If I slide this one over, I'm trying not to break everything. And behind there as well, you can see there's some more. So kind of hard to get to, but it's the best I can do with the space that I've got. I've kind of done a Gamecube collection video. I did my Gamecube Memories episode recently, so I'll put a link to that one, and I will try and go into more detail about my entire Gamecube collection in the future as well. And the same goes for the Dreamcast. I did a Dreamcast Memories episode about Christmas time, I think, so I'll put a link in the description to that one. But I will go into more detail about my whole collection in the future, and there is quite a lot more games that I want to get for the Dreamcast as well. Just so you can see, the bottom shelf is kind of a mess at the minute. It's mostly got some leftover games that wouldn't fit anywhere else, and some DVDs. There we go. So one thing that I do want to show from this bottom shelf here is all these videos that came with a magazine called Action GBX. I do have all of them, and I've got all the magazines as well, but they're all at my parents' house at the minute. This was my favourite magazine growing up, and I used to watch these videos religiously, like over and over and over again. They were basically just adverts for Daytel's different cheat devices and stuff, with some reviews thrown in, but I absolutely loved them at the time. And that's a Memories episode that I want to do in the future, just about Action GBX, because I really, really loved it, and I've been reading them all again recently on my iPad, so really looking forward to doing that video in the future. All this stuff here is all my video game soundtracks. So there's the Solar to Robo soundtrack. I won't go into all of these, I might do a separate episode on them in the future. There's Trails in the Sky, there's the soundtrack from the Kirby Cafe in Japan, the Twilight Symphony, the 6-disc Zelda Twilight Princess orchestral remix thing. So many different soundtracks I've got. I just love listening to game music, so that's a collection that I don't think anyone's seen before on the channel, so I'll definitely do a bigger video about that in the future as well. And what else is here? There's Tanglewood. This was a Kickstarter Mega Drive game. I was planning on doing a video at the time, but I never really got round to it, so maybe in the future. I'll actually leave this one out because I feel kind of bad that I haven't even played it yet. It's all in there, and I will definitely get round to it at some point, but I've got a few more retro-inspired Kickstarter games coming soon as well, so I'm going to leave this one out and maybe I'll play it later. This IKEA bookshelf thing just has loads of different Mega Drive games in. I'll pick out some of my favourites to show you. So there's Ristar. This is one that I was very excited to find because I absolutely loved Ristar when it came out on the Virtual Console on the Wii. So really happy to have the Mega Drive version. And let's see what else. Truxton. That's a very popular Mega Drive game, a really great shoot 'em up, so I'm really happy to have this one. This is one that I was very excited to get when I was back in college, more than 10 years now, about 15 years ago, that's insane. Sparkster, one of the most exciting games for me. Rocket Knight Adventures, as a few of you might know, is my favourite game on the Mega Drive, so I was really excited to get the sequel. It doesn't quite live up to the hype of the first one for me personally, but I do really enjoy it still. I won't go into all of these because this video will end up being like a movie length. What else have we got? Phantasy Star 2. That's another one of my favourite games for the system. Really, really great game. Once again, with a lot of these games, I actually first found out about them thanks to the Wii Virtual Console, so I'm really happy to have all of the original copies now that I've got enough money to go out and buy them all. So really happy to have Phantasy Star. Panicking Funkotron. I actually prefer this over the original, and unfortunately I did a Let's Play of this game with my friend Dean, but unfortunately the sound file got corrupted, so I could never actually upload it. So that's a video that you'll never see unless I try and remake it in the future. But I really love this game. The sense of humour is just weird and wacky, and it's really fun. On this one, a game that I was very disappointed in, thanks to the Happy Console Gamer for recommending this one, but it turned out to be a bit... This is Last Battle, and it really wasn't very fun at all, so I don't really know what he sees in this game. Unfortunately, because a lot of his recommendations usually do turn out to be pretty good, so this was just a one-off. I really didn't enjoy this one much. And if you keep going down, I'll be back on the floor. There we go, so there's a few more here. There's the original Toe Jam and Earl. And another game that I couldn't quite get into that a lot of people really recommend for the Mega Drive, Herzog Zwei. I think that's how you pronounce it. Herzog Zwei, maybe. Yeah, really didn't get on with this game. I was expecting something like Thunder Force, but it really wasn't. It's more of an RTS game, but I didn't quite understand how to play it. Maybe I'll give it another go in the future. And right down here on the bottom shelf, all alone, are a few Mega CD games. Road Avenger, fantastic game, and Prince of Persia, it's okay. But Road Avenger's really cool. And on the other side, you can't really see it because it's kind of hidden away in the corner, but there is another set of Mega Drive games going all the way down here, but they're kind of blocked at the minute. So I won't really be able to show you them ones too much. So let's move over to this side of the room and I'll show you what's down here. So there we go, you can kind of see this is where I'm keeping all of the boxes that don't really fit anywhere else. So there's all sorts of different things here. There's some Game Boy games, there's Nemesis for the Game Boy, and Micro Machines, you might have seen them in a recent Pickups episode. I've also got, what else have I got here? Loads of Super Famicom games. I'll do some close-ups. There's the Japanese version of Terranigma, there's Mother 2, and there's the Japanese Super Game Boy 2 box. So really happy to have all this stuff. A lot of this is from when I went to Japan, so I'll put a link down below so you can check out all of those Japan Pickups videos, because I had a lot of fun shopping for them, that's for sure. And I'm going back again in March next year, so look forward to some more Japan gaming videos and tours of Akihabara and all sorts of stuff. I've got way too many videos planned, and I don't think I'm even going to get round to doing half of them, but I'm really excited anyway. So I won't go into all of these, and as you can see a bit further down is where I keep all my PS2 games. Because I'm not a huge fan of the PS2, as some of you may know. I mean, there are some good games, but I can't really access them at the minute. Apart from Panicking, which is up there, which is by far my favourite game on that system. There we go, now the next shelf here, this one's a bit more interesting. At the top here we've got Japanese games, and this next shelf down is also Japanese games now. So we'll go and take a look at them. As you can kind of see up the top there, that's where all my DS games are, which we'll cover in a second. So this section here, this bit's all my PC Engine games. I did a PC Engine collection video recently, so if you want to go and check that out, I'll put a link in the description, and there's a TurboGrafx game in there as well. But yeah, loads of PC Engine games. I really love this system, it's one of my favourite systems to collect for as well. Just because we never got it over here and there's so much unique stuff for it, it's a really interesting system to collect for. So I'm very happy about having that. And next to it here are all the loose Hue cards that I've got as well. That was the latest one I picked up. This one I got from Super Tomato, if you saw that video. This description is going to be really long. And there is Raiden, which is my favourite game on the PC Engine, and the TurboGrafx. And I'd really like to get the Super Raiden CD version of it in the future, because it has much improved music and sound effects and stuff. I think the actual base game's the same though. So, like I said, have a look at my collection video for the PC Engine if you want to go into more detail about all these. And what else is up here? There's some Virtual Boy games here, so I've got most of the good games now. There's a few more that I want to get that aren't like crazy over a few £100 in price, so these are the affordable ones anyway. I would love to try and go for a full set though, but some of the harder to find games are just getting ridiculous. I also have just a few Japanese Mega Drive games. I really don't have many. I've got Pulseman, which is actually a repro, unfortunately. I'd love to get the real thing one day. I have Gainog, or Gainoog. I did a video on that a while ago. I've also got one of my favourite games on the Mega Drive. I can't say it's my favourite because that's Rocket Knight Adventures, but definitely in the top 5. This is Monster World 4, and once again this is a game that I loved on the Wii Virtual Console and then finally got a physical version of. And there's Monster World 3 as well, so just a few Japanese Dreamcast games, not many, but I'm really happy with what I've got. And it's a system like the PC Engine that I'd love to collect more for, just because there's some really unique games and the cover art is fantastic on the Japanese copies as well, so really happy to have them. And next to them I have some PlayStation Vita games and stuff as well. And there's my N-Gage collection, shall we say. I haven't got an N-Gage yet, so I haven't played any of them. And then on this next one down, there we go. So on this next shelf over here in the corner, you couldn't quite see them, but there's a lot of different Famicom games. Not a huge amount, I'm still relatively new to collecting Famicom, but I've got some of the ones that I was really excited to get, like the original E's here, like YY World 2, that's a really interesting game. Super Xevious, got their Famicom version of Super Mario Brothers. I'll do a separate collection video for these in the future where I go into more depth, but there's another one I was really excited to find. I got this one in Japan. That's Quinty, which is the first game that Game Freak ever made, so I'm really happy to have that one. And balancing on those Famicom games are, this is a bit dangerous holding them all with one hand, my Game Boy Color collection, which I will definitely be doing a collection video for very soon. I've actually got it planned for a few weeks' time, so I'll try and stick to that now I've mentioned it, but there's a few more Game Boy Color games, and there's a few more dotted around here and there, and I'm destroying my game room while I make this video. This is something that's really cool. This is the Summer GDQ Ness cartridge. As you can see, it's transparent because the idea is you can actually take a screwdriver to it, open it up and put whatever game you want inside and actually play it on the Ness. But I'm just using it as a collection piece at the minute. I love watching GDQ, so I always try and buy something every year, and that's what I got for this year's one, which was on a few months ago, I think. So yeah, really happy to have that. That's really cool. And yeah, there's some more, you can kind of see there's some more Game Boy Color games, which I'll be doing in the collection video. I've really messed this shelf up. Now these aren't soundtracks, these are actually the games. These are two of the Toho games, which is one of my favourite game series. They're crazy bullet hell shooters for anyone that doesn't know what Toho is. So I was really excited to find these in Japan. I couldn't pass them up even though they were kind of expensive, so I love the Toho series, I really do. And that game there is waiting for my Quintet series whenever I get around to doing that video. And underneath here I have a few Japanese Gamecube games. I love the Japanese Gamecube games because they come in these really nice little boxes. So I was very happy to get these, especially Kuruin, or Kuruin Squash I think the Gamecube one's called, just because that's an exclusive, so it's always kind of interesting to get exclusive games when you can. And so is this one actually. This one came in a big box, which is, I don't know where the box is, but it came in a big box with a Game Boy Advance link cable. And Donkey Konga 3 as well, one of my favourite rhythm games, so really happy to have these three. There's a few more that I'd want, like Gift Pier is one of them, I'm on the lookout for that, and a few others, but I'll get to them when it comes. There's also a few Neo Geo Pocket Games. I think I picked these ones up from Damien on Twitter, so thank you very much for these. As you can see, they're sitting very happily in my game collection. And next to them is some Japanese Sega Saturn games. Of course, the best game of all time, Sonic R, gotta have that one. Nights into Dreams again, what else is here? Tetris Plus. I did do a collection video on the Saturn, so I'll put a link down below so you can go and check out all the Japanese Sega Saturn games that I've got. I haven't got that many, it's definitely a system that I'm looking to get more games for in the collection. I've definitely got a lot written down, which I'm going to be looking for while I'm in Japan. I'll pull this out. These are my Japanese Game Boy games that have been very nicely displayed in a nail varnish stand. I had a look online and this was the best way of displaying Game Boy games at the time, so I'm really happy with how it looks actually, and it fits perfectly on the shelf. I'm going to do a separate video on my collection of Japanese Game Boy games in the future because there's some really interesting games here that not a lot of people know about. So I'm very excited to be going into these in more detail soon. And that's it for that shelf, and I've kind of messed up the shelf underneath now, so... And I'm back on the floor again. So this shelf here, as you can see, has just a few of my boxed games. These are the games that I've actually put in the protective cases to stop them from getting damaged when they're being stacked up. I'll just pull a few of them out and talk about some of my favourites. There's a lot more games, but they're all like away in the loft at my parents' house or in boxes, kind of flat packed, you know, so I've undone it and flattened them out. So Plock is one of my favourite games, and today I actually ordered the soundtrack on cassette tape, which just sounds crazy, but I'm really looking forward to that turning up. And it is the very first official release of the soundtrack as well, so I really can't wait for that. ActRaiser, which was a gift from my friend Zach from the Beard Gaming. I'll put a link to his channel in the description. He was very kind to gift me this a few years ago while we were at uni together. One of my favourite games on the SNES, although I have to admit I've never actually completed it because the boss rush at the end is just insane. So maybe one day I'll get round to finishing it. And I also got ActRaiser 2 recently as well, which is somewhere. There it is. So yeah, recently I got ActRaiser 2 as well, so I'm really happy to have this one. Amazing graphics, but incredibly hard game. What else? I'm going to a few more. Donkey Kong Country, that's one of my favourite games of all time. Rare, or Rareware as they were known at the time, were on top form on the SNES, and Donkey Kong Country is just a masterpiece. As is Donkey Kong Country 2 and 3, but this was the first one that I ever played, obviously, and I absolutely love it. Here's a kind of rare game. It's getting rarer. Rare. Pun unintentional. This game was a gift from my girlfriend for Christmas one year, so I was really excited to get this, and it actually turned out to be one of my favourite games on the N64 in general, so I'm really, really happy to have this, and it's in mint condition as well, so I'm really, really happy to have that. And as well as all the N64 and SNES games, I've also got here on the end some of my original Ness games from when I was growing up. So, for example, Adventure of Link, which is my first ever Zelda game, and actually one of my favourites, even though a lot of people really don't like Zelda 2. I don't think it's that bad, I actually prefer it over the first one. I've also got up here Mega Man 4, which was my first ever Mega Man game, and still to this day my favourite game in the series. Absolutely love this game. I did a Let's Play of it last year at some point, so I'll put a link down below. But yeah, really, really love Mega Man 4, and this was actually one of the first games that I ever played, so it definitely has a special place in my heart. Really love that one. And the game that doesn't have a special place in my heart, Mighty No. 9. What a disappointment, but I was still happy to get this eventually, like 3 years after the Kickstarter had finished. And I got the original NES version, which the instruction manual does fit in. Apparently, if you ordered the Famicom version, the instructions don't even fit in the box. So, well done, Inafune, but never mind. And yeah, maybe I'll go into more depth into my NES collection at some point in the future. And now we're on the next shelf down. This is just a few of my Wii games. As you can see behind here, there's more. There's a lot more. I have an insane amount of Wii games. I just love the system. I'm sure if you're a long-time subscriber, you know that my channel used to be Nintendo Wii, and I was so excited about the Wii before it came out, and I really do love it. It gets a kind of bad rep these days as not really being a good system for gamers, but it definitely is. There's so many great games for the Wii. I could spend all day talking about it, I really could. And as you can see, even behind these, there's even more. There's a whole load more Wii games back at my parents' house as well. One of my favourite systems of all time, and I'll definitely be doing a full video about it in the future. So I'm back on the floor again. This next shelf down here, this one has Master System games along the back, and a few N64 games at the front. And also here on the end, this is the special edition of Tales of Berseria. I've not actually played the game yet, but I was really excited to find this special edition at MCM recently, so it's on my games to play list, which is getting quite insanely long, but never mind. So I'll pull out just a few of my favourite games for the Master System. Wonder Boy 3, The Dragon's Trap, that's a fantastic game, and recently there was an amazing remake of it on the Switch as well, so highly recommend that game. Also, Ninja Gaiden. A lot of people don't know about this one. They usually only know about the NES version, but I'd really recommend this. This is actually the first Ninja Gaiden game that I actually played all the way through to the end. Really great game. It plays really well, and actually developed internally by Sega, so that kind of explains why it's such a good game. And here's a happy console gamer recommendation that is a good game. This one's Golvelius, and this is fantastic. A Zelda beta in my opinion. I absolutely love this game. It's really good, it's got really nice graphics, it's really fast and fun to play. Just everything about this game is brilliant. Go and get it if you've got a Master System. So, one more shelf now, and this video is already 40 minutes long, so I might actually split my game room tour into two parts. So thanks for watching part 1. We're almost done, but down here, so I'm actually on the floor now, so down here on the bottom shelf I've got a load more N64 games, as you can see. I will do an N64 episode, as I've said about a lot of these things, at some point in the future. I've got loads of N64 games, one of my favourite systems of all time. And behind there I've got a lot of PS1 games, which isn't one of my favourite systems, but it's something that I'm looking to get into in a lot more depth soon. So if you know any great PS1 games, definitely let me know. I'd love to check them out and add them down here at the bottom of the game room, and they'll never be seen again. I think that's where I'll end this video for part 1, so thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to comment, let me know what you think of the game room so far. Subscribe if you've enjoyed it, because as I said, I'll do a part 2 soon that will go into the other side of the room. I didn't realise that I would spend this long just talking about 2 shelves. So I really hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you made it to the end of the episode. Well done if you did, because this has been a really long one. Thank you so much. Don't forget to subscribe. Check out my Patreon if you want. I'll put a link to it in the description, and I'll see you next week for another episode. Goodbye.